Welcome to this week's Kindy Science lesson. This is lesson 2, the skeleton, part of the human body unit. I'm hoping we're going to have heaps of fun today. We've got James and Rose building a skeleton, the one that we see here. We're not quite sure whether or not to call him Fred or Jeff. You're going to have to decide that. We're going to discover what bones are made of. I'm going to do a couple of bone experiments. And we're going to learn heaps of facts about bones and the skeleton. So, let's build a skeleton. So what do you think we should call the skeleton? Is he a Fred or is he a Jeff? Hands up if you think he should be called Fred. Hands up if you think he should be called Jeff. Wait till next week and I'll tell you what we decided. Now, this skeleton was really hard to build and it took James and Rose about 2.5 hours with some help from grown-ups. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't build one. So this was the one that they used, and if you got this kit and you got help from Mum or Dad, you'd be able to build a Fred or a Jeff of your own. This one is a little easier. This one, the human body, has got pop-out pieces that go together really simply. And then you can always download one off the internet and I'll put some links into the comments for you.
Fun fact! Grown-ups' bones get weaker as they get older, so it is important to exercise and lift heavy stuff. Fun fact!
If you've ever broken a bone, you would have had an X-ray. An X-ray is a picture taken with a very special large machine. You lie on the table and they point the X-rays at the part of your body they need to look at. The waves go through your skin and are absorbed by the bones. This causes a picture to be made that doctors can have a look at. All the bones put together are called a skeleton. This gives us strength and form so our body will not be a blob of jelly. A blob of jelly like a jelly baby. The skeleton also has tendons, ligaments and cartilage to help us move around. The joints are where our bones join together and allow us to move and bend. Look at James and Rose moving and bending with the hula hoops in the backyard. Some creatures have an outside skeleton, an exoskeleton. Crabs, prawns and insects are a good example. When they grow, they have to shed their exoskeleton and grow a new one. If we had an exoskeleton, it would be really, really heavy and we would have trouble moving. That is why only small creatures have an exoskeleton. The spine, or backbone, is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae. They allow us to bend. To demonstrate this, we are going to make a pipe cleaner person. You will need some paper straws, pipe cleaners, scissors, and something to use for the head. Now when I thread the pipe cleaner into the paper straw and I try to bend it, you'll see it is not flexible at all. Imagine if your back was like that. So what we're going to do is cut the paper straw into smaller pieces, just like the vertebrae of your back. Then we are going to thread them onto the pipe cleaner. Now you'll see it's nice and flexible. We're then going to turn our pipe cleaner and straws into a pipe cleaner person by cutting some bones and joining them together. So now we can move our pipe cleaner person at the knees and the hips and the elbows, just like we can ourselves. So this is fairly easy. You might want to ask a grown-up for help though.
Fun fact!
Even though babies and kids are smaller, they have more bones than grown-ups. Babies have 300 bones when they are born. Grown-ups have 206. As kids grow, bones grow and fuse together.
Fun fact! The stuff in the middle of bones is called bone marrow. It helps us make blood and it stores fat. So bones don't just stop us being a big blob of jelly. They help us make blood too. Let's experiment!
Why are bones so strong? Here are some bones I bought at the butcher. They're called soup bones. The butcher has had to cut them with a saw because a knife is not going to cut through the bone. Notice the red sections inside the bone look like a sponge, but they're actually really solid. So when we look at the structure of the bone and the shape, bones are pretty strong. Now let's have a look at the shape of the bone. Here's an experiment that you'll need Mum and Dad to help you with. You'll need a toilet roll, which is the shape of a cylinder, and you will need a brick. It's a pretty big brick. Now, will the brick crush the cylinder? Let's place the cylinder upright and put the brick on top of it. Predict what you think's going to happen. Notice the cylinder is holding up the brick. That's why our bones are so strong, because the weight is usually at the ends of them. But now let's try doing something a bit different. Let's put our cylinder on its side. It's rolling around a little bit, and now let's put the brick on top of it. Squish. Now that's why our bones break. When pressure is put on the side of bones, when we fall over or something lands on our bones, it causes them to break. Experiment 2. This one you'll need a grown-up to help you as well. First thing, you should have some safety glasses, just to protect your eyes. You'll need a chicken bone, just a leftover one from when you've eaten some chicken. Take the meat off it. Some vinegar, doesn't matter what type. I used apple cider vinegar here. And lastly, a container like a takeaway container to put your experiment into that's got a good lid and it won't leak. Place the chicken bone into your container and then cover it with some vinegar. Now what we're wanting to happen here is that the calcium, which makes the bone nice and hard, will dissolve into the vinegar. This will take a week, 2 weeks, may even take 3 weeks. And then when we remove it from the container, our bone won't be hard anymore, it will be bendy. So once you've got it in the container, place the lid on it and put it in a safe place. I hope you enjoyed this lesson of Kindy Science. You've all been really, really good. Give yourself a pat on the back. And give yourself a pretend sticker. What's it going to be? Is it going to be a smelly one? Is it going to be a star? I think I'm going to have a smelly one. Oh, strawberry. I love strawberry. See you next week.